What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, cops and robbers, xenomorphs, superheroes, supervillains, and everybody who's in ESO and everywhere else on the internet? This is Done With Gaming in Progress, and I'm joined by Ogre.
Hey, guys.
And that other idiot that he hangs out with. We're going to talk about, we're going to do a slight update on something first, and then we're going to get into the main beef of this video, which is going to be talking about E3 and all the goodies that came out of E3 this year. So, the update is, actually, I'm going to let Ogre update us on what's going on with Indy Pop Con.
All right, guys. So, of course, we're going to Indy Pop Con this year. Well, not only are we going as just general guests, we're going as gaming journalists, if you want to go that far, because we got 2 press passes. So not only are we going to be able to possibly score some pretty interesting interviews with people that we find there, we'll probably get early access to certain areas and backstage access that the general public wouldn't necessarily get a chance to see. So we're definitely going to be documenting those and bringing to you guys the awesomeness that is Indy Pop Con.
Okay. And not exactly journalists. We're just like, we got media. So
yeah, we got media.
Pretty much because we're YouTubers. So
yeah.
And Aries is here for this part because he's one of the people that's going with us in our group of people. He's gonna be the pack mule if I understand correctly.
Yeah, gaming pass that I actually paid for.
Yeah, I got a VIP gaming pass too, in addition to my badge.
Why?
Yeah,
because it was given to me.
Media passes get you into those too, from what I
understand.
No,
media passes do not get you into the gaming stuff. I asked. You don't get any
you
don't get any of the line cuts or stuff either.
Yeah, you don't get line cuts, but you get guaranteed seating and you get into everything I can get into. But you don't get like a game pass and you don't get line cuts. So basically, that's all you're doing.
But since I have
like the VIP ball pit and stuff like that.
Since I have both though, that'll get me line cuts and stuff.
When I was emailing the guy, he said you guys could get into the VIP lounge. I'm not sure why they'd bitch about the ball pit.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure out. We'll wing it. So, and one more thing, 2 other things actually I want to talk about before we go on to the main thing here about Indy PopCon. One of which, they're going to have an ODST drop pod simulator there. They're going to have a thing that's going to look like an ODST drop pod on the outside. You get into it, and it simulates like being dropped from a UNSC frigate and stuff like that. So that's going to be really cool. And the other thing that they're going to be having there that I just saw, that they just announced like earlier today, is they're going to be having like a starship simulator thing too. So there's going to be like a bridge, kind of like Star Trek, like a Star Trek bridge, but not actually Star Trek because, well, CBS would hear about it and demand they pay something for it. So you go on the bridge and you get like a little crew together, and there's like battle simulations and stuff you can run too, which seems like it's going to be pretty cool. So
how much is that going to cost?
Oh, it's going to be free. That's the best part. It's
really?
Free. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys are going, definitely check that out.
Oh yeah, I plan to doing that.
I plan to check it out. So, we're going to move on to the main topic of this video, and that is E3. So, what do we want to talk about at E3 first? I believe it was Fallout 4 we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Fallout 4. And there's so much stuff to talk about E3, so there really isn't a good jumping off point, but I'd say Fallout 4 is as good as any.
Yeah, Fallout 4 was the last thing we talked about, because we talked about Fallout 4 before E3, and then they gave us more stuff to talk about now that E3 has come.
Yeah.
Would have been really nice to see the stuff on the floor. What do we want to tackle on Fallout 4 first? Because, I mean, we got a lot of stuff on Fallout 4. We got like a gameplay trailer. We got shown what the new Pip-Boy is gonna look at. We got told about the collector's edition and all that stuff. So what do we want to talk about Fallout 4 wise first?
Well, the thing that's got me psyched about Fallout 4 the most is voiced characters. I mean, every Fallout game you've played, almost every I think it's like every Elder Scrolls game you've played. Your character really doesn't have a voice, and now suddenly it's just like you have a well fleshed out voice character with, and it just kind of puts you in that immersion just a little bit more. And plus, it sounds like what? It's Troy Baker who's doing.
Yes, it's Troy Baker. I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that it's Troy Baker too. Yeah. Which actually loops a little bit. It loops a little bit back to Indy Pop Con because, in case you guys didn't know, Troy Baker is going to be at PopCon.
Yeah. I'm hoping if Troy Baker's going to be there, they're going to have some Fallout 4 stuff at Indy Pop Con. Hoping.
It's possible, yeah.
But I don't know. I just love the Fallout universe, and I am really excited for this game.
Yeah, and I definitely have to agree that the voice characters are going to add a new layer of immersion. It seems like It seems like it'll have like maybe they'll implement more of a morality system or something, kind of like BioWare does with the Mass Effect series. And having a dog companion is also very cool as well, and something the previous games didn't really have. I mean, Fallout 3, you had a dog, but it was just kind of there, and it didn't really. It wasn't really much. So.
And you could get a dog in New Vegas, but he was just kind of there. He didn't. I mean, he had his own quest line where he had to replace his brain, but that really wasn't much to it.
I didn't know about that. I didn't play a lot of New Vegas.
Really?
Ares.
Yeah, you find.
Okay. Go ahead, real quick.
No, yeah, you find a robotic dog at the King's place in Fallout New Vegas. The king asked you to take care of him, so you take the dog. And he basically it's a robotic dog with a cybernetic brain or something. So you have to go take him up to like this mountain retreat with this doctor who can perform brain surgery and basically find a brain from another healthy dog, and then have them perform brain surgery and switch out the brains to preserve the dog. It's actually a pretty cool quest line. But.
Aries, what do you think of adding voiced main protagonist to the Fallout game?
I think it makes it a lot more immersive. Because just Legend, one of the issues I've always had with the summer game, Legend of Zelda, it's like, oh, the one character that doesn't talk is your own. Well, just having him, the text of the decision isn't really that immersive. It just gives you decision. Now that your character will say what you actually want him to say. I mean, hopefully they're keeping that aspect. It's one of the bigger things. It adds, it's just immersive. I guess is the best thing I could say.
One thing I think would be interesting is to have the ability to turn your character voice on or off. Simply because there are those people out there that play the games, and instead of feeling like there's less immersion because there isn't a player voice, they'll feel like there is more, and they'll actually read aloud the text in all kinds of funny voices and stuff. So I hope you have the ability to choose whether you want the voice on or off or something like that.
Yeah. One thing I'm wondering about the game is, it's on the creation engine, which is what I thought it was when I saw the trailer. I'm wondering how that's going to affect gameplay. But what I'm wondering though is, who do they have as the female voice lead?
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting because you're supposed to have still have the same boy or girl options like in before.
Yeah.
So I wonder that as well.
I'm calling it right now. Betty White.
Oh God, that would actually be kind of interesting, going around slaughtering people and listening to Betty White's voice.
Oh God. But yeah, and I wonder if it's just those two voices, because as you know, with Fallout, you can make your characters different races as well. If I make a black guy, it's going to sound really, really weird with Troy Baker's overly white voice.
That's true, and his voice has gotten more overly white over the years because he's done a lot of voice acting as white protagonists, and even in anime he does a lot of stuff there too. So I think for one thing I think would be really cool is if you play as a black character in the game, have Samuel Jackson as the voice.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
How many games can you think of that you get to play a character and have it voiced by Samuel L. Jackson?
That or the guy who plays Morgan in The Walking Dead. His voice
How
would be
about
awesome
how
too.
about instead of that, how about Morgan Freeman?
God damn it. Starting Patreon. Help us make this game. We're gonna make a post-apocalyptic game voiced and narrated completely by Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
So moving on from the character voices and the companion, which is stuff that's pretty much been seen quite a bit so far before E3. One of the things that they talked about at E3 for Fallout 4 was the base building mechanic. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's great. I think that's basic. I think they basically took the best elements from games like Minecraft and The Forest, and they're just like, hey, and especially Rust, because it seems really similar to how the base building in Rust works. You're just like, hey, those indie games that do base building really well. Yeah, let's put those in Fallout 4.
I think it adds I think it's a really cool new mechanic too. Instead of having to go somewhere and be like this, have this be like your designated town you hang out in or whatever, because a lot of players obviously do that. You can just build wherever you want. It's like, okay, well, if you want your if you want to live out here in the middle of nowhere, you can do that.
Yeah.
And going
I'm
on
probably
top,
just gonna use it to build giant dicks, but whatever.
this isn't that one game where you can build a not a Panais 9000. Forget what that was. That was like some siege game.
The Lego Minecraft-ish game, and we can try to get around the programming for building a dick.
Yeah. Another thing that I found was really interesting that I saw was the weapons. They're entirely customizable now. Really in depth too. You can switch out so many pieces of everything and just mix and match all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and everything with them showing the weapons and the weapon gameplay. Yeah, I noticed a guy, they were running around with really high ammo counts, which you normally don't have as a Fallout character unless you're very late game, or you've done some sort of mod that makes getting ammo a lot easier. So what I'm kind of wary about is with a lot of the gameplay I've seen, if they've stepped away from the scavenging and it's kind of gone more towards a shooter instead of an RPG. Because I was definitely kind of getting that vibe a little bit.
Well, what it could be is it could be just. I mean, the game has it's obviously they've been working on this game and kept it under their hood for quite a while now. So it could be they had, because I mean it was obviously it was set up to be played that way from the start. So it could have been they were just playing a character late in the game, or they could have been playing a developer character. Because developers have stuff programmed into all of their games to where they can get easy access to everything just to test out how this is doing with that and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's just from what they're showing me, it felt a little bit more like 2043 than Fallout, which might not necessarily be a bad direction, and just something a little wary of.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw in the gameplay trailer, obviously, besides all the guns and explosions and weird outfits and stuff, was you lit the signal flare, and it called in a whatever those helicopters in Fallout are called.
Yeah, the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's
cool.
interesting. I think it's gonna act as a fast travel thing, if I had to guess.
Fast travel or backup, which is something that they've basically took from a mod for Fallout 3. I remember they had it modded on Fallout 3 for the PC version. You could download a mod that you can call in Brotherhood Vertibird or an Enclave Vertibird and basically have them back you up in combat.
Yeah.
You couldn't ride in them, but
you could call him in for support. Another thing that we saw is this one is obviously going to have it's going to have a heavier presence of the Brotherhood of Steel than Fallout New Vegas had, because the Brotherhood weren't really involved in New Vegas, if my memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from Fallout 3, they didn't have a strong presence in Boston either. So what I'm thinking is the Brotherhood from DC moved to Boston, and as you recall, there was the Commonwealth that was located in Massachusetts. So could it be that maybe the Commonwealth did something that pissed off the Brotherhood in the DC wasteland, and now they're at war? That's kind of what I got from that, because they don't have they shouldn't have a strong presence in Boston, and yet they do.
Yeah, and this one takes place sometime after Fallout 3 and New Vegas, if I recall as well. Aries, what do you think about all that?
What?
What do you mean, what? Did you not pay attention?
I zoned out a little bit.
We're talking about the Brotherhood's presence in Boston.
Oh. Well, if this game takes place after Fallout New Vegas, it's probably because in Fallout New Vegas, if I remember correctly, the Brotherhood was chased out of California by the Rangers. So they moved east, and this is another Brotherhood splinter that's in Boston, and they could really be fighting whoever the hell they want to be.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit here. Let's talk about the Pip-Boy, which was kind of like a pretty big unveil, because they showed us a new Pip-Boy, and they showed us some of the stuff it does, and it seems far more like in-game. Like the animations for it seem far better than in 3 and New Vegas.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of like all the mini games and stuff they added for the Pip-Boy?
I think it's cool, a little gimmicky. One thing I kind of don't really like with what they've done with the Pip-Boy, though, it seems like when they pause it, it doesn't, or I mean, when you go to bring up your Pip-Boy, it doesn't pause the game like it does in it has in previous Fallouts. So before, you could just see if there's something you need to do in your Pip-Boy or read a lot of notes or something, you could just do that and just not worry about being in combat. Go do that, then you could just jump right back into combat. And now it seems like it's like, okay, well, I need to look at my Pip-Boy. It's like, okay, I'm getting shot at. Ow, ow, ow.
I think part of the reason they did that is because they're trying to encourage you to use the companion app, which can be loaded onto your Android or your iOS device, and you can slot it into the real Pip-Boy, which is another thing we should talk a little bit about.
Yeah, but if I'm sitting here playing Fallout 4, especially on a PC, I'm not going to have a 10-pound device sit there on my wrist while I have my fucking Fallout hand, or my mouse hand with my Pip-Boy on it, shooting enemies, and I got my WASD moving around. It's gonna make that pretty useless. I mean, with a controller, I can see it being useful, but
I think it's something that's more optimized. I think it's something that's more optimized for console users, like most of the companion apps have been. Yeah. It's definitely something I could easily do. Like if I'm sitting there on my PS4 playing Fallout, all I have to do is look at my arm, go boop boop boop, and whatever. And the nice thing is you don't have to use the companion app. Obviously, it's just something that's there to kind of do stuff with. And I like what the guy said about it. He's like, I know a lot of companion apps are gimmicky, so I figured we might as well go for the biggest fucking gimmicky thing of all gimmicks. And it's like, okay, well at least you're fucking being honest about it.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of having a Pip-Boy app and having the actual Pip-Boy thing. Especially for me, because the Pip-Boy is always worn on the left hand in every Fallout game ever, so it's already ready to go for me. I don't know how right-handed people would really use it. It'd be kind of weird for them, I guess. And another thing I think they should introduce, if they're not planning to already, give you the ability in game to choose whether you're left-handed or right-handed, because that's something a lot of games overlook nowadays. Because I mean, there's a lot of either one or the other. And I think it would add a little bit, just like a subtle bit of immersion that isn't really there in a lot of other games.
Yeah, it would be something that's fairly easy to code.
Yeah. It's just changing, it would just change the camera and gun angle slightly, whether it was on the left side or the right side. And other than that, that's it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
What else do you guys think we should talk about Fallout 4 wise?
Vault 69. No, just kidding. I know Vault. I know Vault 111.
What was that, Aries?
You're cutting in and out real bad, dude.
Fuck. It's probably my internet. I fucked with the router today.
You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have done that, Lenny.
My dad wanted 5, and apparently we can't get it because Linksys sucks ass.
Well, no shit, Linksys sucks ass. Nobody uses Linksys because it sucks ass.
Well, it was cheap and it was enough. I can get 2.4 gigahertz broadcasted, which I thought was enough, but apparently isn't.
Okay. Anyway, Ogre was talking about Vault 111.
Yeah. Like, they haven't really confirmed what the other vaults in the area are going to be. I'm kind of like, that's one of my favorite things from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas is going and finding these lost vaults and exploring them and getting to know a little bit more of the lore of the land. So I'm hoping they include more of those vaults in the Boston area, and it's just not, it's Vault 111 was the only vault from the area. But.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I didn't explore all the vaults in Fallout 3, but I mean, I did explore a lot of them, especially once I had the full map and knew where everything was. It's like, okay, now I know where everything is. I can decide where I want to go explore. So.
Yeah, I didn't fully explore all of them, but I have been in all of them at least once. My favorite being Vault 106, which you go in there and you have all the weird hallucinations and the insane survivors that are in there.
Yeah. What do we even really know about Vault 111 other than that it's in the game?
I don't think it was mentioned in before.
We know it's one of the later designed vaults because it has a vertical vault door rather than a horizontal one. And then we know weird shit happens and you wake up 200 years later.
Okay. Well, since it was one of the later designed vaults, I wonder if it'll look more advanced looking on the inside, possibly.
Yeah, and it might look. I mean, I think the vault numbers correspond to when they were completed, so I think it'll probably look similar to Vault 112, the one that housed all the virtual reality simulators. I mean, it's probably not going to house virtual reality simulators, but the construction of Vault 112 looked a lot more advanced than any of the other vaults, so I'm going to say it's probably going to look similar.
The virtual reality simulator might actually, to have a couple of them, might actually make sense, not only in the sense that Vault 111 and 112 were completed around the same time, so they'd have better technology. It would also make sense because it would give you a more interesting way of doing the tutorial for the game that all the Fallout games have.
Yeah, but the tutorial takes place in the, before the post-apocalyptic war. It's basically you go to the vault, something happens. I'm assuming you're probably put into some sort of stasis, and you wake up 200 years later.
True.
So I don't think it would.
One thing I've noticed is it seems to be like they're kind of moving away from the VATS system.
Yeah.
Which I found was really weird because, I mean, VATS have been, an important part of all of the Fallout games for, as long as I can remember, at least. So I wonder if they're going to, completely get rid of it, or if they're just going to change the way it works.
Well, here's my thought on the VATS system. If they're trying to move away from it, then they need to make the guns when you're aiming down to iron sights more accurate. I cannot count how many times in New Vegas where I had someone perfectly lined up in my sight, and I took a shot, and then I missed them. I took another shot, and I missed them, because it was still determined by that, that turn-based RPG thing. It's like, okay, random chance, are you going to miss or get a critical hit?
Yeah.
And
I think
I'm like, if I'm aiming down my sights, I want to hit the person I'm aiming at.
Yeah, I think VATS should be something that's kept in, because, I mean, it's kind of like an iconic thing for the Fallout series that kind of separates it from just being another shooter game.
Yeah.
What do you think, Aries?
I definitely think they should keep it in, but I want, I want the, shooter actually to be based upon your own, like, skill as a gamer, not as a fucking RPG thing.
So
I
you're
think
saying
they should just modify it.
Yeah, so you're saying that they should keep the VATS and just like rework the way the shooting aspect of it works to where it doesn't rely on like that 10% chance or whatever for headshots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And maybe more realistic bullet models. I mean, yeah, you have your gun skills, and your gun skills affect your how much damage you do. I mean, yeah, for the older Fallout games that was fine, but for the next gen, and if you're trying to keep up with all these other games, I think they should probably do more realistic bullet models. Like, say, if you're doing a if you're shooting a 5.56, it does this much damage at close distance. It does this much damage at further distance. Maybe your gun skills modify that a teeny bit, but I want to see your gun skills affect more towards the line of like weapon degradation and your ability to do mods rather than your ability to actually fight.
And maybe like reloads and like how fast you can move while aiming down sights and stuff like that. I can definitely see as that be a better use of it. The only thing that they might have a little bit of trouble of doing is determining like a realistic damage format for like the laser and pulse rifles and stuff.
Yeah.
While we're on the
laser
subject,
rifles, like laser has always been a little bit weaker than plasma. So a laser, I'd probably put like a little bit stronger than maybe like a 5.56 or 7.62, and then plasma, I'd put above like a 308 or 50 BMG. Okay.
Now, on the subject of guns, because I mean, just weapons in general, because that's always been like an important part of Fallout, obviously, since it's a survival game. Is you got to find the good shit. One thing I think we need a larger variety of like realistic weapons. I mean, it's cool to have all the lasers and the plasma weapons in there, but I think we need like more traditional weapons, especially since we're going to be in Boston. So it'll give them like a new excuse to introduce like a lot more modern weapons, like some 7.62 by 51 rifles, maybe some of the more modular rifles that have come out in the real world gun industry lately.
Yeah, because I remember Fallout 3, all I ever used once I got into the DC Wasteland, I was using laser rifles. Then in Fallout New Vegas, the only thing I ever used was the 44 Magnum trail carbine. That's all I ever used once I got those two weapons. Those were my mainstays. I never used anything else. I used the service rifle for a little bit in Fallout New Vegas up until I actually got to New Vegas and could buy good guns. But after that, I just used like one weapon for the rest of the game, and I don't want the game to feel like, okay, it's like, yeah, there's all these different weapons, but you're only going to want to use these weapons.
Yeah, one weapon I think would work really well, since the customization is going to be, since there's going to be like so much weapon customization in this game, I think the ACR would actually fit really well in this game. And we were talking about this before, because I mean it's a more modern rifle, and it's going to have that easily customizable element, because I mean it's got like short CQB barrel, standard carbine barrel, DMR barrel. It's got like 4 different stocks, like 10 different handguards. It can go from 5.56 to 7.62 by 39 and all that stuff. So I think it would be a really good candidate for being a more modern gun to go into the game.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you there. I'd like to see maybe a G36 here and there, or something along the lines. Definitely some
because
M4s.
a G36 is also kind of a more modular weapon with all the options it has as well. And I think Fallout 4 could actually really do the ACR justice, because you look at games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, they always fuck up either the damage model or the rate of fire or both. And they never add any of the customization that the ACR is unique in having.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about them bringing back the Fat Man? You know the nuke launcher, the Fat Man.
It's expected, I guess. I mean, it was a popular gun.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think?
Boom. I like it.
I
like it.
I like it. Let's see here. What do you think of? Oh, that's another thing I found really interesting about the gameplay trailer. If you guys saw the new version of the Death Claws, right?
They looked similar. They just looked a lot more like highly detailed and a lot more scary.
Yeah, and it seems like they're bigger, and like I thought it was really cool. Like when the one grabs a player, his like claws like come out. It's like holy crap. Yeah. It looks like they're gonna have like some arena thing in Boston as well, so that could be interesting, yeah. like a combat arena or something.
Well, the arena thing that we saw in Boston, I think that was the trying to think. I think it's a baseball diamond, and if I recall correctly from the previous Fallout 4 trailer, they've turned it into a city, but or unless we're talking about something completely different, I'm not quite sure.
It could be the same thing. And it definitely looks like they've added like a lot more explosive weapons, and they even have one of the suits you have now even has like a jetpack, which I thought was really crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was one of the Brotherhood suits.
Yeah. The way you get into it actually shows like an animation when you get into these suits now, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how the entire flight with a Brotherhood suit's going to work. I mean, you're talking about a super soldier that probably weighs more of a Master Chief at this point. But
if Iron Man can do it, I guess the Brotherhood of Steel can. What was that, Ares?
I don't think it's flight as much as it is controlled falling. In the gameplay demo, it didn't look like you.
Yeah, you're right. It did actually look more like you were just like gliding down instead of actually being able to lift off the ground. So.
I'll be right back.
That's not flight. That's falling with style.
Okay. So I guess we'll move away a bit from Fallout 4 since I don't think there's really anything else to talk about Fallout 4 wise. So I guess let's talk about the next biggest reveal. And actually, this one kind of dwarfed Fallout because when they revealed the Final Fantasy VII remake, nobody saw that coming. We knew Fallout 4 was going to be at E3, but nobody saw Final Fantasy VII coming because they trolled us twice. The first time they announced that it was going to be a Final Fantasy VII thing. It turned out that it was just the PC remastered version of the PC port of the game. Everybody was pissed off. The second time they did it, it was like some mobile game. Everybody was pissed off again. The third time, everybody was like fucking crying when they saw that logo. They were like, "Oh god, don't let this be another troll." And then it was like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Here you go, guys. We're done fucking with you. You get what you want now.
I know jack shit about it, so I'm sorry. I'm not gonna read much help here.
Okay. Well, they don't really show you a lot in the trailer. They show you that the game is gonna look amazing. That it's gonna be on next gen only. That it is in fact a remake because a lot of the scenes look different. But they show you that all the main characters are really going to be there. There's going to be Cloud and Barrett and all the stuff. So it looks like it's going to shape up to be a really good remake of the game that fans have been wanting for a long time. Ever since back in 2009 or something. 2000. It was quite a ways back. Back when the PS3 was first coming out, they did like a tech demo of the PS3, and they recreated the opening scene from Final Fantasy VII, in more modern graphics and stuff, and it looked really good. And that's what really sparked people into saying, we want a Final Fantasy VII remake. And it took them another generation of consoles, but what they did, they said they weren't ever going to make another Final Fantasy. They weren't going to make a Final Fantasy VII remake until another game that they had made outsold Final Fantasy VII. So I'm not sure if that happened or not, but either way, I'm excited for this remake. There you are, Ogre. What happened?
My router decided to troll me.
Oh. Now, did you play Final Fantasy VII, the original one, or no?
I haven't really been like that big of a Final Fantasy fan, and I haven't played Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I've watched it played by one of my best friends, but like just because I haven't been a fan of the series doesn't mean I don't understand how big of a reveal was it. And like I wasn't expecting Final Fantasy VII, and I definitely wasn't I was kind of expecting it, but like watching the Final Fantasy trailer, I've been watching like the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer in E3.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
That's another awesome thing too that we're going to be finally getting is Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's another game people have been waiting for a long time. This is like the year of getting the games that gamers have been waiting for.
Yeah, and another thing about the Final Fantasy thing that looks cool is that with a lot of remakes or remasters, they basically just update the game engine a little bit and tweak it and make the graphics look a little bit better, but don't change the gameplay at all. Like,
but this is a full-blown remake.
Yeah, like this isn't Halo Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. This is a full remake. Like revoiced, redoing the voices, completely redoing the environment, completely redoing everything about the game.
Originally, Final Fantasy VII was on PlayStation 1. There was no voice for the game. Everything was text-based, and the graphics were like polygon shit. So.
Yeah.
So it was great for its time, but it doesn't hold up at all to today's standards. And what was funny is I was talking about this while you were gone because of your technical difficulties. But back like a year or so back, like so many months ago, the first time they trolled fans into thinking that they were doing a remake, all it turned out to be was a remastered version of the PC port of the game that was coming to PS4. And I have to imagine that when they announced that, they knew. They're like, okay, we'll get them this one time, and then we'll get them one time after that with the mobile game, and then we'll give them what they want.
Yeah.
So, but fans, I think people were actually crying. They were so happy not to be trolled again.
Yeah. I guess the main reason why I haven't gotten into Final Fantasy games is because I just don't want to. I don't want to get involved in a story that spans 15 games and that each game takes like 30+ hours to beat.
Apparently, you've never played Final Fantasy. None of the games are really linked into an overarching story. Oh. There are some elements that do go from story to story, but for the most part, each Final Fantasy game is on its own, with the exceptions of like the spin-offs. So you have like Final Fantasy VII, and then Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, and Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. But those three games only interconnect with one another with the main title. So.
All right.
But so that's why everybody when you ask anybody what their favorite Final Fantasy game is, they don't just say all of them. They say, "Oh, I really liked this one and this character and blah blah blah." But yeah. So let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3, because I'm guessing that's something both of you had to have played. Or Kingdom Hearts, at least.
Yeah, I've played the first Kingdom Hearts. I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2, but I've watched a full Let's Play walkthrough of it. I've watched my friend Tom play it. And Kingdom Hearts 3 has been something that was talked about for a while. I remember back when X-Play was still a thing. One of the segments they did in 2008 or 2007, they were basically telling their fans to stop. Was writing in about do we know when there's going to be a Kingdom Hearts 3? No, we don't. Stop asking.
Yeah.
I remember that was something that was joked about for a while.
Yeah, Aries, what do you think about Kingdom Hearts 3? Did you play Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 or no? Aries. That's you.
Oh, I thought I was showing my shaking head. No.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. Okay, so we'll move on. We'll move away from Square Enix now. Did you guys happen to catch any of the PlayStation press conference?
That's
watched a couple videos of it. My special interest is in Uncharted 4, just because I love the fucking story.
I don't know. It's no secret I'm not a PlayStation fanboy, and so I haven't really watched a press conference. I like how they're doing Uncharted, but what I'd really like to see, and there's a lot of people asking about this, or who want it. I would like to see Sony and Naughty Dog bring back the Jak and Daxter series.
Yeah, that's actually something I'd really like to come back as well. One of the things that it's possible too, because one of the things they're doing is they're completely another game they're completely remaking is the original Ratchet and Clank. They're completely redoing for PS4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
so if Insomniac is redoing Ratchet and Clank, fucking Naughty Dog needs to redo Jak and Daxter, at least Jak 2, because Jak 2 was the best out of all the 3 games.
Yeah, I played Jak 2. I played the shit out of Jak 2 actually, until my sister decided to overwrite my save file, and I was really far in the game, and I got pissed off and never touched it again.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you guys think of, did either one of you guys see anything about No Man's Sky?
Oh my god, I want it.
I've heard about that.
Okay, Aries, what are you looking forward to in No Man's Sky? Because they showed us more gameplay footage and stuff at E3 this year.
Everything. There's nothing about that game that you cannot like. It is as big as a fucking game can be, as well as individualized planets with individual types of species, interactions, and everything. It's basically like Eve, but better.
Because Eve, I can't stand Eve actually. I tried to play Eve online, and it just wasn't for me.
Well, yeah, it's too involved. You've got to put your life into it. Whereas this is one of those things: pick up, play, go to wherever planet, discover a fucking planet, because there's so fucking many. I want to know how they're going to get the server farm to hold all this.
Yeah, that's actually a valid point too, and I look forward to seeing how they do that. Now we have to get to the part of the conversation that I don't like. Let's talk about the Xbox One press conference.
Bye.
Yeah, Microsoft kind of dropped the ball on this, other than the fact that they're announcing virtual reality Minecraft.
Yeah,
and the fact that they're having backwards compatibility with. Aries really muted himself.
Yeah. The backwards compatibility thing isn't even all that great because of the way it works.
Yeah, because they should have had it. That's something they should have had to begin with. The only thing I'm excited for with backwards compatibility is the fact that with the Xbox Ones being more powerful, games that were made at the very ass end of the last generation that suffered from frame drops because of the limitations of the 360's hardware, those games might run a little bit better on the Xbox One, and that's about the only advantage there is to having backwards compatibility with the Xbox One and the Xbox 360. In some of those. You're dealing with more powerful hardware, which means you shouldn't have the same frame drop issues that you had on the 360.
Yeah, one of the problems though with the backwards compatibility is when it launches, or since it's already been updated to have it, it only currently supports 18 games, 17 if you don't include that shitty ass game Viva Pinata, which I don't think anybody does. The problem is, sure they'll be able to easily get all the Microsoft Xbox 360 games onto Xbox One because Microsoft is the publisher. But any third-party published games is going to be really hard to get onto the Xbox One because it's up to the publisher to decide if they want to have that game on the Xbox One. So games like Black Ops 2 and the Xbox 360 version of Ghosts and stuff like that is going to not necessarily be easy to get backwards compatibility with. The other issue that I see arising with backwards compatibility is for both systems, and that's the fact that a lot of games that were made at the ass end of the last generation got remastered editions onto the next generation. And anyone who bought those remasters are going to feel like fucking morons for buying them now that they can play all of those games on the new consoles anyway.
You see, the ones that got remastered, I don't think they'll get backwards compatibility. As far as the third-party publishers, like Activision with Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1 going to the Xbox One, the simple thing is, I mean, there's been a few million more consoles sold from there's been a few more million PS4 sold than Xbox Ones, but Microsoft is still a huge company. All they have to do is okay, you don't want to port this specific game, if it's a big game, Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops 2. If it's a big game, all Microsoft has to say is okay, you won't allow us to port it over to the Xbox One. You don't publish on our system anymore. Boom. That cuts. That
obviously doesn't matter. That obviously doesn't matter to Activision or Treyarch.
But it would cut all of their sales in half.
It doesn't matter to them though, because they're catering to they're not catering to Xbox anymore. That's very apparent with the fact that Xbox doesn't say anything. Xbox's press conference didn't have anything to do with Black Ops 3. Well,
not to. I mean, you've got to remember these guys are porting over to 4 different consoles when you count PC. So losing one of them is maybe a fourth if you're lucky.
And now, Xbox isn't the main focus of Call of Duty anymore. PlayStation 4 is. That's why with Black Ops 3, PlayStation 4 is getting all the DLC first, like Xbox used to, and we're getting catered more than Xbox is now.
Yeah.
And that's something that's pissed off a lot of Xbox players. There's already a hashtag on...
Microsoft is no longer the 1,000-pound gorilla it used to be.
Yeah, and Xbox players are starting to wake up and realize that. And it's not a bad system, it's just it hasn't done as well in sales as PlayStation, so now more developers are catering to the PlayStation over the Xbox. And that's pissed off a lot of Xbox players. There's already, a hashtag on Twitter, talking... It's Xbox or will riot or something like that. So, there is one thing for Bethesda that we managed to completely completely miss, and that's another big name dropping back into the industry, and that's Doom.
Yeah, I was not expecting Doom.
I don't think anyone was expecting Doom, because, I mean, they teased us for a while with Doom 4 and stuff like that, and the people just kind of gave up hope on it. Doom 3 was a really fun game. I've played all of the Dooms. That's one series that I've actually went back and played the earliest versions of. And I was born before Doom. So
yeah.
But I went back, not only played, I bought Doom in 1 and 2 on the Xbox 360 just so I could play it on that as well. And then I played Doom 3 on the PS3, and I'm really excited for this new Doom. It looks like it's going to be awesome. The graphics look good, the gameplay looks good, and it looks looks like it could be potentially pretty spooky.
Yeah.
So
definitely the animations and the enemies you're fighting and just the way you could rip them apart and the way they could rip you apart was really awesome.
Yeah.
That part where your character basically takes this demon's head and just rips it apart, and then you see his skeleton. I cringed at that a little bit. I was just like, holy crap! I have not seen this sort of wanton violence in a while. I mean, damn. I mean, it was bloody and it was gory and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And the
Aries, you had something to say?
No, I just said I was back.
No, go ahead, Aries.
Yeah.
That was it. I said I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to comment on Doom?
Yeah, comment on Doom. Share your thoughts real quick.
Well, I mean, since it was basically the first fucking shooter game that broke the fucking barrier, actually, I think girl, I want to see it break another wall. I don't really care what it is. If it's coming back, I want it to come back in style. I want to see the most blood. I want to see it break a record for the most fucking blood in a video game. I don't give a shit. I want to see them do what they did because they know how to do it.
The way they the way it looked in the trailer, they could very well break the record for the most blood in a video game.
Yeah. It'll put. I'm telling you now, it's already gonna put hatred to shame.
Yeah, and another thing with Doom, since this was another game that was like that really defined the shooter genre, they need to do something where they shit all over Duke Nukem Forever. They just shit all over Duke Nukem.
I think Duke Nukem Forever already shit all over Duke Nukem enough. Like Duke Nukem Forever was like a really big disappointment for everybody.
But you could pick up your poo and run around with it.
That's okay. There's a game I think you should get, but you probably wouldn't be able to play it much. Ogre is Ark.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of footage of that lately. At first, I thought it was Rust because I know Rust did a lot of similar updates and they look really similar graphically. But yeah, I've been looking at that game. It looks interesting.
Ark, you can poop, you can pick up your poop and then eat it, and if you eat your poop, you die.
That's great. That's so great.
But yeah, I'm thinking Doom is going to be a really great game that's going to come out. And what's really cool is it's like clone Wolfenstein, I think, is getting like a sequel too pretty soon here, because they rebooted Wolfenstein, and Wolfenstein actually originally started out as just like a copy and paste of Doom, only with Nazis instead of Hellspawn monsters. So it's going to be interesting to see those two titles kind of clash head to head once again, and that's something that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that was announced during E3, and this was during the
Ark in Dakota's area.
Yeah, my dad just shut off the lights.
Another thing that was announced at E3, and this was during the Microsoft press conference, was they announced Gears of War 4.
Bye.
Really?
Is he just gonna keep going off every time we mention Microsoft?
I guess so. What do you think of Gears of War 4, Ogre?
I think it could be a success, but at the same time, I don't know. They kind of wrapped everything up with Gears of War 3.
That's what I was saying.
They're trying to continue a franchise that they've beat to death.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because I guess it's called like Gears is continuing as a franchise, but to me, Gears of War died when Dom Santiago died in Gears of War 3. That was like when I saw that scene, I was like, okay, they are done with this series. There's nothing more they can do, and even if they do anything more, I don't give a fuck, because they killed off the most beloved character in the game. And here was something else that they announced in Gears of War news. They're going to be remastering Gears of War, and they're going to put it on PC, and it's going to be playable at 4K resolution.
I'm about to shit myself.
So I think that could be interesting for you PC mustard race faggots over there, while I'm just a filthy console peasant.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I feel like the game could be a success, but it's been beat to death, and it's not like other franchises that have been beat to death, like Halo, because Halo was around long enough to have that nostalgia factor behind it. Gears of War doesn't have that nostalgia factor around it. It's been around very recently, like 2007. The franchise has only been around 8 years, while the Halo franchise has almost been around 20 years and is going to continue indefinitely, because you have all those fans from the 20 years of games that have grew up playing Halo. So it doesn't have the nostalgia factor just to keep it going.
Exactly.
Which is what's pretty much carrying over Halo right now. Halo 4 was meh. They're probably I'm hoping they get a lot better of Halo 5 Guardians, but I don't see Gears of War 4 selling that good. And Ares is showing memes, I think, related to Microsoft on his stuff.
I guess. When I haven't touched a Halo game since Reach, and I refuse to for the simple fact that when Reach came out, we were supposed to have like everything we could ever want in Forge, except for no Pelican dropships. So fuck Reach, and fuck other Halo games.
I built so many maps in Halo Reach's Forge. I was actually I was more disappointed in Halo 4's Forge because it was way less.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard Halo 4's
Reach's Forge.
I heard Halo 4's Forge was stripped down quite a bit.
Yeah, although they fixed that with the Master Chief Collection, so. Well,
that's good. So I think there's only one more thing to really talk about E3 wise because
that's the big elephant.
And that's
the big elephant in the room.
Yeah, the PC press conference hasn't come, and we're not going to cover Nintendo because I don't give a shit about Nintendo. Ares is the only one here I think who cares about Nintendo.
No one gives a shit about Nintendo.
I kind of watch them just out of nostalgia, just to see how much they'll try to keep themselves alive.
Yeah. So
Nintendo died when they released a Wii.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
Nintendo's more killing themselves with their new YouTube fucking sharing thing than the Wii.
Yeah, their new partner program is what's fucking them over. It's because, very anti-gamer and anti-YouTube.
Oh no,
it's anti-YouTube, but
it's with Let's Plays. So I mean, how much of a bitch of it is to film any Nintendo game? They've even done it with the old ones. I was watching somebody on the YouTubers United thing that you guys managed. He was playing Mario 64, and he goes up and he's like, all right, let's get this out of the way. I got to say this big legal thing just so I can have a little bit of money to play this game.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Why would you even do that? You might as well go on Twitch where you don't get paid and just have people watch you do it live. That's what Markiplier does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
fuck you, Nintendo.
The last big elephant of the room is obviously Star Wars Battlefront. At E3, we got actual gameplay footage because that thing they showed us at the launch was not gameplay footage. It was just a fucking highly done trailer. So we've all seen the trailer now. I and Ogre saw it completely. Aries got the gist of it because his computer's a piece of shit.
No, my computer, it's my internet.
Whatever. So anyway, it does definitely seem to have that that Battlefield feel to it, but I don't think it's not as present as I thought it was going to be, and I'm glad of that.
Yeah. The only thing that really gives it a Battlefield feel to me is the fact that it's on the Frostbite engine, and the Frostbite engine governs everything from the graphics to like the way the game, like the guns feel and the gameplay mechanics generally. So I think that's what makes it feel like Battlefield, because it looks like Battlefield, but it's definitely Star Wars. And it's more Star Wars than it is Battlefield.
They don't do shit other than Battlefield, so it's not like it's to be expected for them to fucking create a whole new engine.
But like I said, EA knows that they cannot fuck this game up, and they cannot make it just Battlefield with a Star Wars skin, because that'll piss off all the fans, and Star Wars fans are like some of the worst fans you could ever piss off because they'll like slaughter you and stuff.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yes. So, I'm definitely glad that the game still features the ability to switch from first to third person. That's something that we weren't really sure if it was going to be in this new Battlefront, because again, it is being made by DICE. But I'm very glad they kept that in the game, because I like the ability to be able to switch. It's cool, and it feels interesting to be able to switch and see the different camera angles on the fly like that.
Yeah.
The only thing that it doesn't have first person for, and I think that was the only thing that it didn't have first person for originally, was the heroes and the villains obviously aren't going to have first person.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what hero. Because with Battlefront, you could, like Battlefront 2, the Jedi, you're stuck in third person, but if you're Boba Fett or you're if you were
Han
Solo or Princess Leia, you could have first person.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to depend on the hero again, because we know confirmed that like I think Han Solo is a playable character. We know confirmed that Luke Skywalker, Boba Fett, Darth Vader are playable characters.
Yeah. I would imagine a lot of the same heroes and villains are going to be in it.
Yeah, but I think it would be stupid to handicap Boba Fett and Han Solo to third person
only. Yeah. One thing I think they should definitely do is they shouldn't change the hero system a lot. But a lot of fans have been talking about, oh, let's change the hero system so the heroes aren't as overpowered and stuff. But part of being a hero or a villain if you're a hero, then you have to have more power than the standard foot soldier. You should be overpowered to an extent.
Yeah.
So, they say they're not going to do the Clone Wars stuff. I'm thinking they're going to do the Clone Wars stuff, just like they're going to do space battles, and it's going to be DLC, and we're just going to have to live with the fact that it's DLC. But one thing I think would be
step in and tell them to do that, especially since they're trying to get in, especially like with the old Clone Wars animated series, with them kind of making that canon again. They're probably going to get into that, especially probably with some kind of Rebels DLC, as well as pretty much every DLC.
Yeah. One thing I think they should do.
I would totally be into some Rebels DLC. If I could play as like the main Jedi from Rebels, I would be happy.
Yeah. One thing I think they should do, though, since they're probably going to do Clone Wars, and if they don't, I will kill them. They should do because the Clone Wars and Battlefront 2 was obviously prior to the Clone Wars series and Rebels and stuff like that. So now that those are actually part of canon, they should include for some of the heroes and villains, they should include Asajj Ventress, Ahsoka Tano, maybe the early Clone Wars era Anakin, and then on different maps have Episode 3 Clone Wars Anakin, and they should have Captain Rex and Commander Cody. I think would be two interesting heroes.
Yeah.
Especially Captain Rex, since he does the dual blaster thing. I think General Grievous will probably come back as a villain along with Darth Sidious. Oh, and another one would be another interesting villain for the hero system would be what was his name? Count Dooku's second apprentice after Ventress. Savage Opress was his name. Yes, I think Savage Opress would be an awesome villain, as well as both versions of Darth Maul. So Darth Maul, Episode 1 Darth Maul, and then Clone Wars Darth Maul, where he's got the robot legs and shit. I think that would be cool as well.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm not too worried about EA doing Clone Wars, because if the EA doesn't do it, the modding community is. And I know
No. You're gonna stop right there. As much as you bitch about how E3 is a shitty company, and you're gonna sit here with a straight face right now and tell me you are not worried about them fucking Battlefront 3. You're gonna sit here with a straight face after almost daily, and even doing in videos, bitching about how EA is a shitty ass company.
EA is a shit company. EA is a shit company. DICE isn't a shit company. If they chose to, just do the old trilogy, fine. But like I said, the modding community is probably going to, like I said, pick up on the other side of the fence.
EA is the final say in it, and even before that, Disney. And combining EA and Disney to control DICE is what I'm really worried about, turning into a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Really good.
But I think sticking to the old trilogy is more DICE, or not more DICE, more Disney than it is a DICE or EA, because the fact that they're trying to push this new movie, which takes place during or after the Galactic Civil War.
Yeah.
So I think they're basically trying to push that specific era to drum up more interest in a movie, which they already know the movie's going to be a massive hit. It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
I think
plus, I'm thinking when they originally brought this project to EA and DICE, they were still working out what was canon and what wasn't. So they didn't.
Yeah.
They figured, okay, the original trilogy is for sure for canon. Everything else was up for debate at that time. So I think that's why the main focus of the game initially is going to be the Galactic Civil War stuff. It's because they're trying to push a new movie, and when the game was originally drafted, they were like, just do the original trilogy stuff until we know for sure what we want to make canon and what we don't want to make canon. And now that the Clone Wars series and the Clone Wars movies and all the prequels are still canon, I think that they're gonna do the Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah. So we might see it in a little DLC, but like I have a feeling the modding community is probably going to do some pretty cool Clone Wars stuff and some pretty cool custom map stuff. Because even if the Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, like there aren't that many mods available for them because they made it hard to mod. Look at how many mods there are for GTA 5 already.
Yeah. And another thing, let's not do DLC for Battlefront. Let's just do a full-blown Clone Wars expansion. And not expansion, not like a Destiny expansion, because Destiny has destroyed the word expansion. Fuck Destiny and fuck Bungie right now. But let's do a real expansion. Give us like the whole Clone Wars saga, like everything from 2 episodes 1, 2, and 3 to the series, and give us all the awesome maps and all the awesome vehicles, because there was a lot of cool vehicles that came out of both the Clone Wars in the movies and the Clone Wars in the series.
Yeah, like something that kind of concerns me about this new Battlefront. I have not seen any Imperial land vehicles other than the AT-AT and AT-ST. Where's the repulsor tank?
Yeah,
they might not have them coded yet.
Yeah, that's
remember this. Yeah. This is pre-alpha footage we're still seeing. They haven't even got.
Yeah, that's another thing that concerns me. It's pre-alpha footage.
Come out, Star Wars fans, fucking attention, I guess.
This is another thing that concerns me. The game's slated for release in October or November, and it's still pre-alpha footage. Why is it pre-alpha footage? Should it be at least beta footage?
The first date and now is always the date they go with. They never announce a second, third, or fourth, or fifth date. They never move it back, ever. EA has never done that in the history of the world.
Yeah.
They haven't done that recently. They've been known to rush games out the door, and with the new Star Wars movie coming out, it is going to come out before the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Hopefully, though, you just gotta hope at this point that they'll have enough time to put everything in the game that they need to. I think one of the reasons we're still seeing alpha footage is enough people were griping that there was no Galactic Conquest, that the walkers were on rails. That pissed a lot of people off, and I think that's going to be changed. And the fact that there was no ground-to-space combat, and the fact there was no Clone Wars, I think that's why we're still seeing pre-alpha footage, is because they're realizing, oh wait, there's still a bunch of shit we didn't put in the game that we should have. Let's try and cram all that shit in there before we release it.
I mean, for pre-alpha, it looks amazing, and more normally alpha gameplay is filled with bugs and glitches, and there wasn't anything noticeable in their gameplay trailer.
True. It did look good, and
there could still be bugs in there. They're just going to make it work for the time being, so they can get a demo out.
Yeah. And another thing that was another thing that looked really good is the ground combat still has that little bit of battlefield feel to it. The aerial combat didn't feel like Battlefield at all from what I was seeing. It felt like Star Wars, Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, and with the Hoth map that they showed, I really liked what they did with the Hoth map. They're not sticking with the same design that's been in Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2, even though that's the design that's pretty much shown in the movies as, this is the Battle of Hoth, this is the layout of the base. They're just, they kind of just did their own thing with it. It's okay, a big wide open area like that is good for vehicle combat, but the original Hoth didn't have much vehicle combat to begin with, so we're just going to, make it to where there's trenches and they're up in the mountains of ice mountains of Hoth and they're fighting it out. And I think that's really going to work well for them for that style map is doing stuff like that rather than sticking with old designs from
previous games. Yeah.
But yeah, previous games because they don't really work well anymore. I mean, there's only a few maps I can see working well, which is probably like the most Isley setup, which they're more than likely probably going to keep, and maybe
I think
something like Bespin.
I think they could get away with like the original layout for Coruscant. I mean, like they definitely when they do Coruscant, because they'll probably do Coruscant. Coruscant is an iconic place, and they can't get away with it not doing Coruscant at some point. I think they could definitely keep the layout of the Jedi Temple the way they have it in Battlefront 2, but just expand upon that to where it's more than just the Jedi Temple.
Yeah. Another thing that's I'm kind of excited that they brought back orbital strikes. We haven't seen those since the first Battlefront, and those were like some of my favorite things to call in as a recon class in Battlefront 1 was orbital strikes.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm glad is back too. And I think one thing that's cool with the way they're doing Hoth is since it is more like it was laid out in the movie and stuff, and not more like where it's so ground combat focused like it was in the games. I think they're going to have the ability to explore more of the inner mountain area of Hoth that they didn't really show in Battlefront 2. Because I mean, they could only make the map so big, and they were obviously catering to vehicle combat more than they were ground combat. So I think now they can have, in addition to all the trenches and stuff they're going to have, I think they can do more of like the inside of Hoth that you didn't get to see in Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2 that you only got to really see in the movies.
All right. Now, if they could bring back a map from one of the original two Battlefront games, what map would you pick and why?
Well, the original two Battlefront games. Okay. I think so mine is going to be one of each, one space and one ground. Now, for my ground choice, it's going to be the Camino cloning facility because the Camino cloning facility is obviously very iconic, and it would be very cool to see a more updated version of it, especially since in addition to having just the facility itself, they could have like Republic's Venator class in orbit, and then like a Trade Federation ship in orbit, kind of recreating the Battle of Camino, like that took place in the Clone Wars TV series. And they could make the facility bigger, and they could have like all the fighter combat and stuff, as well as like maybe even like some of the underwater combat that you saw in the show. I think that would all be really interesting. Now for my space map, I'm going to have to choose the Battle of Coruscant, because the space battle of Coruscant was like one of the big battles in Battlefront 2 space-wise, and it was an overall iconic battle because it was the opening of Episode 3, and it wasn't done justice in Battlefront 2. As much as they tried to do it justice, it just couldn't be done justice. So I think if they recreate that battle in space on this new Battlefront, it'll come out amazing.
Yeah. Aries, what are your thoughts? A ground map and a space map from either one of the titles that they could bring back into the new Battlefront.
I don't really care about space battles. I think they just bring them fucking all. As for land maps, Geonosis.
Okay.
From which title? The first one or the second one? 2. That's something interesting because I've always found like the Geonosis map from Battlefront 2 really flat, and it just really wasn't as good as the first Geonosis map. And I was wondering why you feel.
There's nostalgia to it because it's the first map you have to play. So I mean, it'd be something to just have it, build on it, and they don't have to bring it back exact. Well,
True. Yeah. I think they should follow the layout of the Geonosis map from Battlefront 1, because Battlefront the battle of Geonosis was actually like reversed. Like some maps in Battlefront were better in Battlefront 2, and other Battlefront 2 maps were better in Battlefront 1. And Geonosis was one of those because the map seemed a lot bigger and there was a lot more going on in Battlefront's Geonosis than Battlefront 2's Geonosis.
Yeah, like in Battlefront 1, you you had a big battle of Geonosis, and it was pretty much based off of what we saw in the movie. Like the spires were in the correct place, the down Techno Union ship was in the right place, the big spire in the middle was in the right place. But it wasn't just capturing command posts. You had those 3 Techno Union ships in the back that you had to destroy, which is something you really didn't do much in Battlefront 2 at all, unless it was in a campaign mission. It was like, oh, destroy this command post and you'll take it out for good. And it's like, no, it's you didn't see that at all in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
And actually, the Battle of Geonosis would be another really great battle that they could recreate, especially given those Techno Union ships were shielded. They had ground shielding. So with the technology they have now, they could put those giant ass Techno Union ships in the game and have the shields on the ground that shielded them that you would have to take out first, and then call in like the bombers to destroy.
Yeah. All right. Well, since you gave 2 maps, Aries gave 1. I'm gonna give 2 maps. I'm not gonna give a space map because, like, if I was, it wouldn't even really be a space map. It'd still be a ground battle. I'd go with the interior of the Death Star. But the 2 maps I'm going to say are both from the first Battlefront. If I had to bring back any of the maps, I would bring back Renavar Harbor and the Battle of Kashyyyk in Battlefront 1 is because, well, Renavar Harbor, I have some of my favorite memories of Battlefront 2 just riding around, or not Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1 riding around in one of those Rebellion speeders and just swarming the AT-AT as soon as I can, and just trying to take it down with rockets from the speeder before it got anywhere close to the harbor, and then just basically take over the entire map from there. Like, I had a blast doing stuff like that. And the reason why I choose the Kashyyyk level is not the Kashyyyk docks level, the village that then the battle that takes place during the nighttime, is because I love the way that the map was set up. You had the main village in the center. You had a village on this hill through past this river. Then you had another village that was separated by a forest. I feel with the new technology that they have with the Frostbite engine, they could really do that map justice, expand upon it, and it would kind of feel like you're almost fighting a guerrilla war in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. So I think that
watching Wookiees rip apart Imperial stormtroopers.
Yes, and a hero could be Chewbacca for that level. Chewbacca was always a hero for that map. It was either Chewbacca or Yoda were the 2 heroes for that.
Well, this is before they had heroes in Battlefront. This is the first Battlefront map.
Yeah. Well, for Galactic Civil, Chewbacca could be the hero, and for Clone Wars, Yoda could be the hero.
Yeah.
I think that about does it for this E3 coverage video. We're not going to cover the PC aspects right now because the PC press conference hasn't happened at the time of this recording, and we've been putting this off for a couple days, and we wanted to talk about all this stuff earlier. We didn't have the time, and we now have the time. And we're not going to talk about Nintendo either because, well, Nintendo's anti-YouTube, so we'll be anti-Nintendo. But anyway, that about does it for this video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys stayed with us till the end, or at least saw the parts that you wanted to see. There was a lot to talk about, and there was a lot to watch. So this video will obviously probably be one of the longest videos on our channel, even with some of the cutting and editing I imagine Ogre is going to be doing. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. This has been Devin with Gaming in Progress, joined by Ogre.
And Aries.
Thanks for watching the show.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.